Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. How you guys doing? I just mentioned this on my other channel. Figured I'd mention it to you guys as well. Wanted to send some love and positivity your way today if you need it. If you're someone out there who's maybe been feeling a little bit down in the dumps, maybe you're sick of having constant negativity thrown at you from traditional media, from social media, from the internet in general, who knows, maybe even people around you in your life. My whole goal with these channels isn't, I love the game, right? It's a fun game, but it's really to just hopefully provide an escape to a few of you guys and gals watching. So just sending my love to you guys, not to sound super cheesy about it, but especially those of you who need it out there, sending some positivity your way to start out this video, to start out here my day, at least in my time. Anyway, guys, today we did a few weeks ago, we had a really fun video with YST talking about our favorite epic nukers in the game. Today we're gonna pick our favorite, or not our favorite, the best, excuse me, overall raw damage dealers in the game. But Ash, how do you know who's the best raw damage dealer, man? You're not that smart, bro.
I appreciate that you actually came out and told the truth finally.
Well, I stole it from Ash Voyager damage multipliers, which I will link for all of you guys below. I use kind of those shortened links here on the channel. And man, when I mention Ash Voyager damage multipliers, it gets the most clicks, thousands and thousands. If you guys check out that spreadsheet, he updates it all the time as well. So all the new champions are constantly added. And the cool thing is he has one category that we never really talk about here, and that is the category for raw damage, meaning it's really factoring in all of their skills together in, in tandem. So all of their A1, A2, A3, whatever, how much raw damage can they do over the course of a round, versus just one flat out nuke in the arena. That's going to be another list. Don't worry, I got that one coming too for you guys pretty soon. So champions, like my favorite champion in the game right now for a nuker, my arena nuker, Leo the Proud, not even on our list today because although he does have 2 hard-hitting AoE attacks, he actually fell at like number 11 or 12 in terms of overall raw damage. So I want to throw the question to you guys here. Who is your favorite all-around nuker? Do you have any guesses who might be number 1? We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. I do want to give 2 honorable mentions because technically they are in the top 10, but I'm not going to include them because they're too situational. They're too dependent, not situational. They're too dependent on crazy things happening, right? So Kaidus, I did a video on Kaidus. Damage increases according to the amount of HP this champion has lost. Secret skill only available when this champion has lost 50% of his HP. Listen, in a perfect world, if he has like 1 HP left, that reaches the top 10. I think somewhere around 7 overall. But man, I was super underwhelmed. I maxed out Kaidus. Super underwhelmed with the champion. He's cool. He's different. He's a little bit niche. Well, a lot niche.
Have you ever considered learning how to lie every now and then? Just a bit.
Kaidus, Deathless, Thea the Tomb Angel. I decided not to include them on the list. No hate against these champions, but same thing with Thea, right? You need to have all the hexes up for her to fall into the top 10 in terms of raw damage. And man, I mean, I don't know, 6 hexes on the enemy team on a 5-turn cooldown. I'm not very excited about Thea the Tomb Angel. So those are my disclaimers. Now let's jump into the list. And I actually wanted to start with the only epic on our list today, and it's Skull Crown. So Skull Crown, you guys already know, all she's got is AoE. AoE on the A1, AoE on the A2. This is, by the way, all these champions is factoring in, they get the extra hit, right? So for Skull Crown on the A1, places an extra hit if this champion has more than 50% HP. So a decently hard-hitting A1 with an extra hit potential and a very hard-hitting A2. Skull Crown, I mean, what else is there to say? I guess you could mention the annoying unkillable she drops on everybody in the arena. That's why we love Genbo, who will probably be on our next list of my favorite arena nukers out there. Next up is going to be, I think, the only champion I don't have on the list. There might be a couple others, but it's actually Xavia. So Xavia is a very, very fun champion. I don't have her, but I've played around with her on my buddy's account. She's got attack all enemies 2 times on the A2. A lot of people, well, I don't think they forget about that, but that deals a decent amount of damage. She has the poisons in there as well. And on the A3, another AoE attack. Enemies killed by this kill cannot be revived. Deals damage from all poison debuffs immediately, instantly on the target. So Xavia, an incredible champion. Obviously, one of my most wanted, or maybe not so obviously, but she is one of my most wanted champions for a long time now in the game. On her A3, it's a Bellinor our a companion champion ability, so we won't really go over that, but it is a debuff spread. All right, coming in at number 8 is actually going to be a champion that anybody can get, and I don't have her yet, so I lied.
My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me.
Another champion I don't have, but I'm almost there in the clan shop, right? It's Yannick. Any of you Yannick fans out there? I imagine, you know, a lot of you guys might have her, again, through the clan shop, or lucky enough to pull her. She used to be kind of a joke of a legendary, but they gave her a pretty massive buff, I don't know, about a year or so ago. So a high elf champion on the A2 attacks one enemy, perfect veil on this champion for 3 turns if the attack is critical, but then grants an extra turn, okay? So immediately that's going to reduce the cooldown of the A3. Elven Judgment is an insanely hard-hitting nuke, right? Nice to have a good Spirit Affinity nuker in the game, such as Yannick. I'm sure there's another one or two on the list, but Yannick definitely comes to mind. Attacks all enemies, will ignore shield buffs, remove shield buffs from the target. This champion is under a veil or perfect veil. Again, she does have that on her A2, and deals extra damage equal to 15% of the value of the removed shield buffs. So, yes, that does factor in. This list, I should say, does factor in that we're removing a nice girthy shield from the opponents. So you can bring her in against shield mobs, you know, anywhere that you encounter them, specifically in the arena. She's a good champion to ignore those shields and then deal extra damage on top of that. So really the quintessential shield breaker inside the game. All right, next up is a champion that I've been singing her praise for so long, man. I really, really love. I love her so much that, okay, there she is. I'm like, where is she? I can't even find her. Abyss. Man, she's so incredibly good. She's got decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown on the A2, Mass Impalement. It does a ton of damage, man. And then Divine Wrath is like one of my favorite nukes in the game. This is just... It's crazy. It's crazy. Abyss's Divine Wrath is insane. She also, I think, got a buff at some point recently, or kind of recently, or a year or two ago. Either way, she's one of my favorite nukers in the game. She's Force Affinity as well. Man, she can deal a ton of sheer damage. So no surprise to anybody who owns her that she came up on today's list. So next up on the list, guys, is going to be, this is number 6, Suzerain Katan. Dude, Suzerain Katan is a beast. We have attack in all battles by 33% on the aura, and then 3 strong AoEs, man. People don't mention this champion enough. Really good base attack as well. Decent multipliers, and AoE on the A1 with decreased speed. On the A2, an AoE with weaken and a decreased defense if the weaken is not placed. Okay, 75% chance to land the weaken, so we're landing one of the 2 there on the A2. And on the A3, we're removing shield, block damage, unkillable buffs from all enemies, then attacks them. Plays a heal reduction debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. The buff removal cannot be blocked or resisted. Nice to have a buff removal that cannot be resisted. Nice to have that in there. Unfortunate thing is it's only shield, block damage, and unkillable, but good for the arena, good for anywhere that you're running into those debuffs. Very, very good champion, obviously, for Hydra clan boss, right? We're running 3 AoE attacks. We're adding weaken or decreased defense and decreased speed and that great aura on top of it all. So Suzerain is definitely a champion whose I guess value has definitely gone up quite a bit recently. All right, next up is going to be, we love him. We love him. Suzerain, also another Spirit Affinity champion. Speaking of a beast nukers, Ethos comes in at number 5 in the game. Ethos is a high elf void affinity champion on a hard-hitting A1. On the A2, attacks all enemies 3 times in outburst. Decent multipliers there as well. Also has the weak version of weaken. Give him the strong version. He's a void, right? He's a beast already, but you know, I'm greedy. I'm greedy here, guys. Kill me. On the extinguished life ability, well, it does just that. It absolutely extinguishes life, man. This is a very hard-hitting nuke. You see, Ethos used in a lot of speed runs, Doom Tower, etc. The attack is always critical as well. No big deal, man. Number 4 is going to be everybody's favorite everybody's favorite pair of legs in the game. It's Trunda Guilt Mallet. So Trunda, man, it's funny, when I started playing the game, I pulled Trunda, and the word wasn't really out on Trunda yet. Anybody like that old school back in 2018, 2019, and you know, people weren't talking about her as they do now. Now I think the word is out. Everybody knows she's the best nuker in the game, certainly in the conversation. One of the hardest hitting AoE attacks on her A2. I think it's a 6 multiplier on the first hit. The second hit deals 60% of the damage. So Cloak of Ages is great. You can kill somebody in the arena almost guaranteed and then deal a lot of damage to everybody else. Or you could just come in with a double hitter builder with no accuracy on the A3 and boom, boom, everybody's toast, man. One of the best nukes in the game in Forge Rhythm. Again, I build her with no accuracy. I don't want to land the stun, but it's nice to have for PvE content. I don't want to land the HP burn. I want to place an extra hit on enemies not under stun debuffs, okay? But it's nice to have the burn and stun on the same ability anyway. Man, Trunda is just an absolute monster of a nuker in the game. One of my faves. All right, top 3 here, guys. I bet, unless you're cheated and you looked at the spreadsheet, I doubt anybody could guess all 3. Maybe, though. Maybe. Let me know if you did. Who do you think it is? Number 3, and this is the tricky one, especially after the last buff to Robar. First of all, he used to be so slow. I want to say a base speed of 87 back in the day, aka 3-4 months ago before he was buffed. But man, now he's a decent speed. Look at that base attack, 1619. Easy to scale up that attack when you're building him as well. He has a hard-hitting A1. Grant an extra turn if he's placing a stun on his A1, man. You used to do some pretty amazing things with that A1 in itself. On the A2, Wild Swing attacks all enemies. Decreased defense, 100% land rate on a 3-turn cooldown. Solid multipliers as well. But it's really this merciless assault, man. Damage increases if the target is under fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, petrification. All of the CC abilities in the game. So if you can have a Silda Drakes, I don't know, I'm contractually obligated to mention her once per video.
Oh, we broke up.
If you can have her on your team, or anybody, Archmage Helmet, you name it, right? Any stunner, any sleeper, any provoker, going before Robar as a setup, he can nuke the hell out of your opponents using this A3 Merciless Assault. It's one of the best nukes in the game in terms of sheer damage. 2 powerful AoE attacks in his kit. Very good champion. Now, the top 2, you guys might be able to guess. Number 2 is going to be the first legendary I ever pulled in the game. It is Shamrock. I'm just joking. It is Biggin, man. Biggin. He's got an AoE, potentially, on every one of his abilities. On his A1, attacks 1 enemies, attacks all enemies if the first attack is critical. Pretty hard-hitting attack as well. Works unless you're attacking into a Force Affinity champion, not landing that critical hit. On the A2 and AoE, really good multipliers on the A2. We have a stun chance as well, or decrease accuracy, and decrease accuracy. But really, my favorite ability that he has is this Molten Slag ability. And anybody who owns Biggin, you know how nasty this A3 is. Attacks all enemies 2 times, very hard hitting, 5-turn cooldown, but justifiably so, because unlike Thea, I always hate I just take so many shots at Thea, huh? I just had her on my most regretful legendary video as well. But we're placing a decreased speed and decreasing the turn meter by 25%. Very, very, very good ability here. The decreased speed is only a 30% chance at landing, but still, the turn meter and 2 really hard-hitting attacks and a great accuracy aura as well makes Biggin personally one of my favorite nukers. It's no surprise with 3 AoE attacks that he is second in terms of sheer damage overall. Any guesses number 1 in the game, guys?
I'm sexy and I know it.
Feels like there's a lot of snubs on the list, but it's champions like, I don't know, Candrafon, champions like that have one ability it's very hard, but again, these are all the skills into consideration. And with that said, it's a great kind of tease because it's Ray, man. Ray, number 1. Unbelievable. She's like a legacy champion in the game. She's an AoE on every single ability. On the A1, attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing decreased defense. Not bad for an A1, right? On the A2, attacks all all enemies, inflicts 50% more damage against targets under debuffs. So again, that is factoring that in, that they are under debuffs, but another hard-hitting ability on the A2. But it keeps going. On the A3, another hard-hitting ability, attacks all enemies, removes all buffs, so totally stripping the enemies of all of their buffs, and then boom, has a 70% chance of placing a freeze on them as well. So Banish doing a lot of damage, placing a freeze, removing all buffs. We're inflicting more damage under debuffs on the A2 and a decreased defense on the A1. Not too bad, Ray. Increased speed in dungeons by 33%. So a great aura on her for dungeons as well. Her attack is not as high, and no one of her nukes is going to be the biggest nuke in the game. You're not going to be necessarily blown away by the numbers of Ray, but overall, in aggregate, at the end of the attack, you will be blown away. You will be very satisfied with the DPS that Ray can put out for your squad. And there it is, guys. This concludes the video. Those are the 10 biggest, I guess, sheer damage overall nukers when you factor in all of their abilities in the game. Who, if any, do you use? Do you have any of these champions? If not, who is your favorite nuker? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.